Hi, host Eric here. Famous person Aaron's got his camera on, which is fantastic. And host Eric's big critic, host EBCB is also in the room. All right, so Aaron, you watched the Muslim video. It's about where I draw a picture of Muhammad. That one, or
Yeah, yeah, it's
okay,
that one.
okay. So, what what are your thoughts on it, or what's your take on the whole thing?
Well, I mean, it was it was kind of brutal for me to watch. I'm not trying to.
It's fine.
Uh,
Criticize all you want. I'm not attached to anything. I'm curious to see how it plays, and it doesn't matter.
I mean, I think that your argument's right. It was just I think that it's gonna be hard for because you're kind. I felt like the argument was being made, but you were also having a satire that was also being portrayed. That you were proving your point by acting it out. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't call it a satire. I mean, I'm not disputing that. I'm not saying it shouldn't be called a satire. I'm curious as to why you call it that.
Well, I mean, uh, because you were saying that the speech that you were portraying was allowed, and I felt like you were portraying examples of that. Like that's why you drew the picture, right?
Why I draw the picture? I mean, I think the point of drawing the picture was to demonstrate that it's not a criminal act, I guess. Uh,
Right.
and to piss them off. I mean, to desensitize, as I said, or at least that's my express position. I think my real motivation or real position is basically I find restrictions of free expression appalling, and it makes me fucking furious.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that.
And I mean, I think a large percentage of the population would say it's not cool to directly, with uh, willful intent, to mock and defame their most deeply valued symbols. What
Mhm.
do you guys say if I were to make that argument?
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I mean that sounds like a valid argument. I mean, like some things are offensive to anybody. Like anybody's gonna be offended by something, you know. But it's like you can't change society based on what you're gonna be offended by. I guess the problem is that not everyone agrees with that either. You know.
Well, a solution might be just to clearly demonstrate that it's not doing that, that
No,
your
what?
intentions are not that they are just to clarify the issue. I don't really know what you're talking about, to be honest. I don't know what the topic is, but
Oh, it's a video I made where I explained that uh, Islam. Well, a Muslim viewer responded to a chunk of another video in which I said a couple things about Islam, and said that I ought to be. I'm just being unnecessarily brazenly disrespectful, and there's no reason for that. But the thing about that comment challenged, that made me upset, I guess, is when the person said, um, "It's like Charlie Hebdo." Even this anti-God philosopher said, uh, "We can't expect to um, mock their most deeply held thing, their most deeply cherished beliefs, without getting a reaction in kind." But of course, my position is that's not a reaction in kind. It's a it's responding with to mockery with violence rather than to responding to mockery with mockery. So uh, I don't know. It suggested to me that, see, there's an attempt by that commenter and a couple other commenters in this chain to claim the truths of relativism on behalf of this stuff. Say, to draw an equivalence between the West's valuing of freedom of expression and Muslims' valuing of the sacred. That those things are equivalent. But I find that really, really angering because I don't think they are at all equivalent because the one protects both, the other only protects itself at the expense of the other one.
Yeah, yeah. Although both are subjective, which one? I mean, it's a subjective subject. Not.
But yeah, my point is, it's not subjectively true that um, that free expression is a superior modality to reverence for the sacred. It's objectively true,
Hmm.
and so I don't understand how any human being who can engage in what's obviously rational conversation, who's smart, these individuals are not dumb people. I don't understand how they can either actually conflate the two things and think that mockery and rhetoric are equivalent, the same thing as actual violence. How can an intelligent person actually conflate those things, or refuse to address a conflation that they're voicing because they feel they have to or something? I don't know. How does that
Well,
happen?
I mean,
Well, sorry, but have they actually explained how it is? Have you asked them why?
So I asked them why what? Why they think that violence and rhetoric are the same thing?
Yeah, why they thought that you were actually doing that in the video? Like, what's the evidence? Like,
The evidence for what?
you're saying that
That,
that
that
they
they
were.
that they equate violence and rhetoric as the same, because that's what the commenters said. They said, "This is we don't expect you to go along with our way of doing things, but we do expect you to respect it. And if you don't, you can't claim any moral superiority because you've attacked us by slandering the prophets. So that's not an attack. Those are words. I'm making fun of your religion. That's different, right?"
right. I mean, I see but that's why I feel like it's a satirical point. You know, I mean, I see the argument, but
Right. Right. I mean, I don't know I don't know how to satirize Islam, because to satirize it would be sort of like display what it is in a way that people see as ridiculous rather than respectful or something. But I find the only response I can have to Islam is to attack it directly.
well, what's the difference between that and hate?
Well, because I'm
That's why I
attacking.
feel like,
Okay, so let's talk about this. This is a great question, and I appreciate you asking it very much. The difference between what I'm doing and hate is I'm attacking Islam, not Muslims. And I'm attacking specific manifestations of religion in public policy. So I'm attacking the apartheid against women, which is a state of affairs that persists in most Muslim countries and all Middle Eastern Muslim countries. Maybe 80% of the Muslim population of the world persists in that state of affairs, apartheid against women. I'd say that apartheid with women is justified exclusively by religious justifications. So it's fair of me to say I attribute blame there. Now, we also know that the actual execution of these atrocities is done only by individual human beings, and that all of those individual human beings are Muslims. So that's not hate. That's an objective assessment of a massive population of people persisting in an atrocity against half their population that they have persisted in since the 14th century, and that large segments of the population are trying to make it even worse than it currently is. That's a legitimate critique. That's not hate. And any individual Muslim human being that comes to me, I do not assume anything about them. All I can tell is this. If I ask you this question, this determines if, in my mind, you're civilized or not. Do you believe that people who insult the prophet should be arrested? If I get off the plane in your country and I say, Muhammad's got poop on his face, should I be arrested? Or would you fight to defend my right to do that? The only question that matters, because there are two ways in which we can determine that another group, a country, is how we normally divide them, but let's just say a population that views itself as unified. There's only two ways that we can evaluate successfully whether such a population is an ally, a free country, a free state, a state that values a fair system applied to everyone equally, at least tries to do that, and one that doesn't. And the two ways are this. Number one, if a country values freedom of expression, and number two, if they have some semblance of transparent elections that at least leads to a regular transfer of power. If you have those two elements, you have a free society. If you don't have either of those two elements, you don't have a free society. Now, the alternatives are two. We can either hold those wrongdoers accountable rhetorically. I'm not advocating any violence ever, and I'm not advocating that we assume any individual is guilty of the crimes of the group. I am saying that if they do ascribe to these particular criminal behaviors of the group, then they should be condemned wholeheartedly for it. And that anyone who would prioritize negating my condemnation because it sounds hateful or because it offends people, instead of prioritizing condemning the atrocities, the actual atrocities committed by this large population upon half their population, is missing the point.
Well, isn't conflating the acts with the belief itself like missing the point?
Okay, well, you could accuse me of a reification fallacy. That's what you're saying there, and it's a legitimate point. It's true that the group doesn't take action, doesn't represent any set of beliefs per se. However, what I'm trying to point out is that in the status quo, we allow individuals, I don't know if I hear you or not. In the status quo, we allow individuals to dictate to everybody that they do stuff for this reason, and that a group consensus about what the set of reasons are that are acceptable within a group comprises the context in which we have to evaluate things, right? So I got a little distracted there in the middle by the chat thing and the noise, so I lost my flow. But did I answer the question?
Well, I got distracted by the same thing.
Okay. But what was the point that prompted the question? I'll have better economy of language. What did you say that prompted it?
Why I said that the to bring to conflate like the belief with
Okay, the
people.
reification fallacy, right? It's okay, fine. It is a reification fallacy. I can see that, but the thing is, we don't. If you're going to call it out on me as a reification fallacy, then the justifications that you have for accusing it of being either anti-FE or sounding like hate or whatever, those also have to go, because in that instance, you're saying, okay, fine, I can see it's a reification fallacy. Then there is no group that's taking any kind of action. Fine. What about all these people over here calling themselves a member of a group and taking the action?
What about them?
Okay, well, you help me then to attribute a critique of the rhetorical models they're employing without referencing either the models as a unique unit of thing, a distinct thing, or referring to the people as a generalized class of thing, because I prefer not to do that.
Well, I mean, like,
it is
either,
a phenomenon.
Well, it's a political situation more than a. I mean, the cultural separation, I don't think is actually valid.
What do you mean?
I mean, well, in the sense that, I mean,
Can you order a beer in Saudi Arabia? No. Why not?
No.
What, did they have a reason why not, or did they not give you any reason?
Well, I mean, Saudi Arabia's government is a royalty.
But what's the reason they give you as to why you can't get alcohol there?
Yeah, but who cares what the reason the authority gives you? The authority that is.
Because what we're talking about here is explaining why they're wrong. So we have to know what the reasons they give are.
What is the point of explaining why they're wrong? Because in their central, I mean, like you can't tell a king that they're not royal.
Okay, what's the point of explaining why they're wrong? Well, first of all, if they're talking to me, the point is to make them clean their fucking trash off the table. But if, regardless of that, if they're not talking to me, they're engaging in public discourse at all, then they're talking to me. And I'm going to talk back to them and explain to them why they're wrong, because the only reason people can persist in bad behaviors is because we have normalized narratives that justify those bad behaviors. I intend to denormalize those narratives and impact behaviorally only incidentally. I don't have any desired outcome. My outcome is to fuck the living shit out of your wrongness. And in that fashion is the only way in which I can advance humanity. Because the one thing that people don't like to do is repeat a bad argument that got them fucking humiliated last time they tried it. So, how do we cure the Middle East? Humiliate the fuck out of their bad arguments. Make sure they hear it best we can, as often as they can. Desensitize them. And when they come back with their arguments, great, we're making progress. Now you're trying to bring your bad arguments here and use them. Well, they get shredded, and then I go piss on the Quran. Now, you got more bad arguments? You're going to concede the fucking point. Right? It's the only thing you can do. Otherwise, you are enabling that bullshit.
I just don't, like, you're not gonna be able to convince your way out of a political argument with, like, national authorities that, I mean,
trying to humiliate them, not convince them. Humiliate. Right?
What is the point of that?
I just told you what the point was. People have a deep aversion to repeating arguments that got them humiliated last time they said that bad argument. No, discourse is progressive. Discourse is progressive. The flow exists. The flow of human progress exists, and the flow of human argumentation exists. Arguments that once were considered totally acceptable are now considered appalling. If the culture moves forward discursively, how does that happen? It doesn't happen positively. It doesn't happen because somebody gives you a good positive argument to make. It happens the other way around. Because bad arguments get punished with the natural consequence of getting your wrongness shoved up your fucking ass. It's the only way progress happens.
Eric.
Yeah.
Eric. Do you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I've been trying to talk. Do you hear me now?
I do hear you now.
Okay, because I can give my point of view since I'm Muslim, actually.
Oh, you're Muslim. Fantastic. But okay, but listen, here's the thing. You can start with your point of view right now if you want, but I have been holding my pee for too long. I have to go pee.
Okay. It's just that I've been trying to talk, but you couldn't hear me. I don't know why.
I can hear you now.
Well, yeah. What was the question again? Because I had to log off and come back for the audio to work. So I didn't hear the last thing he was saying when he was. I don't know what he was saying.
I was asking him about a video that he posted.
Oh yeah, I know that, but just the last part. But I didn't see the video, so I can't comment on it.
I see. It just wasn't. I mean, I don't want to. I don't know. Just want to ask about it, I guess.
Wasn't it whether or not he demonstrated hatred against the culture itself and not the system on which it works? Wasn't that the main thing he was asking? He was saying he said that he was arguing against the Islamic and how it goes against free speech and things. And then the person said that he was showing hatred towards the culture. I didn't watch the video. Sounds like someone's kind of confused criticism for how the religion works mechanistically as an insult to the way of life or culture or philosophy of the religion itself. So I think Eric's probably right.
Jar full of candy. Orange soda. Empty bladder. Headphones. Ready to go. All right. I'm excited. I want to hear what Casual INTP has to say.
Yes. About what? What was
Well,
the question? What was your question?
actually, let me stop this video. Let's start a video and have it be specifically this topic with you. This is long enough. This video we got going on right now is long enough anyway. Thanks for watching.